Hey everybody, it's Emily at ARG Schooling. Today I wanted to give you guys some tips for how to get reading into your schedule. I hear all the time from people asking, how do I read so much? How can I fit reading into my day? And so I wanted to talk about that a little bit. I think I did film a video a couple of years back, but I feel like I have more things to, maybe I don't have more things to share. I think I do. I haven't gone back to look for that video, so if I'm repeating myself, the advice is still good. so anyway, I'm going to share a few tips to help you to find time in your busy schedule for reading. So my first tip is to schedule it in. This sounds like maybe a challenge for people who aren't super organized. I know I'm not, but if you're the type of person that loves a checklist, that feels motivated by being able to check things off a list, put it on your to-do list. Consider it a chore if you must, or something important that you want to fit into your day. So just schedule in your reading. I know for me, when I've been in like a really busy period, like I am right now, and I want to still make time to get to my fun reading, I'll add it to my to-do list. And that way I see it and I'm like, oh, that's right, I wanted to make that happen today. And I'm more likely to pick the book up at some point in the day if I know that I'll be able to check it off my list. Something about checking things off a list is just pure motivation for me. So if it is for you, do it this way. Trust me, having it on your list to check off is satisfying. My next tip is to take advantage of ebooks. Maybe you have a Kindle or some other kind of e-reader, maybe you just use your phone, but having the ability to pull a book out of my pocket or my purse, or to read at night in bed when it's dark in the room, I don't know, it makes it easier to get more reading into my day. At my busiest, when I'm just like, I don't have time to pick up a book right now, being able to pull my Kindle out at night and read for 20 minutes before I fell asleep, I still get some reading in. Having a e-reader or the Kindle app on your phone just means that wherever you are, you have a book with you. So if you're stuck in line at the DMV, read your book while you wait. If you are on vacation and you just forgot to pack books or didn't know what to bring, you have an e-reader that has several books on it. And you don't have to pack a bunch of stuff. It's just there on your phone, on your e-reader. So like having something like that handy makes life easier and means that I'm more likely to read rather than doom scroll. I really hope it's not as loud as it seems. They're doing some sort of construction a few blocks from me and it is loud. My next tip is one that is sort of new to me, but obviously not new to everyone else. But it's made a big difference in my reading this year, and that is audiobooks. I used to think I didn't like audiobooks because I didn't realize you could speed them up. The first like 2 times I did an audiobook, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so tedious. They read so slow, and I just got bored, my mind wandered, and I was like, well, this is not for me. Fast forward, last year when I was dealing with my dental implant, and reading aloud became near impossible for me. Like I just struggled so much with it. So we turned to audiobooks. And that's what I discovered. You can speed them up. And I was like, oh my gosh, wait, I might actually like listening to audiobooks. So my daughter and I listened to a bunch, but then I started choosing ones just for me. And I think last year maybe read like maybe 10%, 15% of my reading was audiobooks. This year I'd say about 80% has been audiobooks. And let me explain that. I'm not just listening, which is fine. I have nothing against that because I do that too. But what I have discovered is that when I read a book with my eyes, just reading the book, I am more likely to distract myself and set the book down and go do something else, or read a chapter and then go, okay, now I'm going to do something else, whatever. If I have the audiobook of that book while I'm reading it with my eyes, I am less likely to be distracted because I have more sensory input, I think. I'm listening to it while I'm reading it, and it holds me into the story. It like, I don't know, I can't explain it fully, but it really does, one, help me read faster because I'm not stopping as often, and two, get me through a lot more books because now if I need to go fold laundry or do the dishes or something relatively mindless, I can keep the audiobook going while I go do that chore, and I've now read 3 chapters that I wouldn't have read otherwise while I'm doing said chore. So like I read a lot more. I think at this point last year, I actually checked before I filmed this point in time in July of last year, I had read about 54 books. At this point in July in 2023, I have read 83 books. It's definitely made it easier for me to read more things. So, highly recommend audiobooks if you have been, like me, cautious about trying them out. And for the record, I generally listen at 2.5 to 3:10. So I'm a fast reader typically, but when I'm distracted and not using an audiobook, I slow myself down because I'm more likely to let my mind wander. With an audiobook, I'm not as likely to do that because someone's telling me the words while I'm looking at them. So I don't know. I don't know how I can explain this better, but it's helped me a lot. My next tip, if you want to read more, let's say you are reading, but you're maybe averaging less than you'd like in a year, and you want to feel like you can read more things, if you're just looking for quantity, novellas and graphic novels are your best friends. Novellas are great because they're short. They're like under 200 pages generally, and you can read them relatively quickly because they're short. Personally, I don't always love novellas. I like them for that feeling of finishing a book quickly, but I always tend to wish there was more to the story. It's rare that I read a novella and I'm like, that was the perfect amount of story. I think maybe the Wayward Children series is the only one that I'm like, yep, that was good. Usually I want more, but graphic novels are amazing. One, I love them as an art form. I find them really just captivating. I love reading graphic novels because they bring something new to a story. And secondly, I love graphic novels because I can read them so fast. Like I can read, depending on the book, I can read a graphic novel in under an hour. So when I just like want to make sure I get enough reading it, like if I give myself a goal, say of like I'm gonna read 15 books this month, then when I'm getting close to the end of the month and I've only hit like 13, 14 books, I grab a graphic novel because I know I'm gonna read it really quickly. So graphic novels are a great way to get more reading done in less time, while still reading something really, really great. And then my next tip is to take advantage of your local library, because I am more likely to pick up a library book than something on my own shelves, just because I know I have to bring it back. So if you're worried that like you're just gonna collect books and not read them, library books. You're more likely to pick it up if you know you can't keep it. You know it has to go back. I'm just more likely to make time for it when I know someone else is waiting for this, so I better get to it. And then my last tip is a sort of a bonus tip, because this is not for everyone, and I understand that. But I would suggest reading more than one book at a time. Like I said, I know not everyone can do this. Some people just want one thing. But if you are the kind of person who can juggle different things, I highly recommend doing this because it gives you options. If you are just like not in the mood for this book right now, you read something else. I'm always reading multiple things. I always have, say, a book I'm reading for my business. I always have a book I'm reading for fun. I usually have a book I'm reading with my daughter. And I always have a book going on my Kindle at night, and I always have an audiobook going. Sometimes that audiobook goes with one of these other books, but sometimes it's separate. There are audiobooks that I just listen to the audio and I never have the physical book at all. And there are audiobooks that I listen to while I'm reading things. So like sometimes I have multiple audiobooks going at a time. You know, I know not everyone can do that. I know some people get flustered by reading more than one thing at a time. But if you can do it, I highly recommend juggling books, because I feel like it gives me enough options that I'm not going to get bored with whatever it is I'm reading. If you're the type of person who just like picks up a book and sets it right back down because you're just not in the mood for that. Having multiple books gives you the option of, well, maybe I'm more in the mood for nonfiction right now, so I have a nonfiction book going. Maybe I'm more in the mood for a short story collection, so I read a short story in one sitting, and that sort of thing. So like, it depends on you and what you enjoy and what kind of reading you're more likely to do. But reading multiple books at a time gives you options and helps you get through more things more quickly. But that is something that really does help me get through more books. So I hope you found this video helpful. Please let me know in the comments down below, what is a tip that you have for getting more reading time into your schedule. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Happy reading. Bye.